share you some information, and I guess I got the right screen shared, so I just have the topic still here. So I'm going to be talking quite promptly about angel investing. So I think it's going to take less than 20 minutes on my behalf, so we can jump into the topic from Kasper about VC funding. Then Thomas will talk about the communication to investors, and we're spending roughly 1 hour. I think we're gonna try to aim for 1 p.m. To continue then to the next part of the session, and then we're gonna have 2 of you pitching, and very great that you guys who raised your hands to pitch. It's really nice. We're gonna get an overview of the companies from there, and don't worry about your pitching. We're gonna give you some advices that from our perspective, how we see that, how you could improve your pitch. Let's see what we can come up with that, but we have 10 minutes for each startup reserved on that. And then we're gonna go into smaller breakout rooms where the coaches are gonna jump from a room to another, so you guys can sit and ask us questions more. But yeah, after the presentations, you can have 1 or 2 questions, I guess. We have time for that, so let's go on with the program. So as mentioned, my name is Antti Viitanen. I'm a deal flow manager at Fiban. So basically, I'm responsible for the communication between startups and Fiban investors. So I go through all the cases that come to Fiban together with our Fiban investor members, and then my job is to organize pitching events called Fiban Pitch Finland, which we are organizing 8 times a year. So where we invite always all the most promising startups for angel investors to pitch. I've been working at Fiban for now 1.5 years, and it's been a great ride. I have seen more than 1,000 startups on my desk during this time. I'm going to be talking about defining the angel investor and what is an angel investment, and then go through shortly about the angel investor landscape in Finland, and then few words on how to approach and when to approach angel investor. But this is kind of how you can see. So angel investors, they are bringing knowledge, network, and capital. So this means they usually quite often these people are somebody who has been there on their own startup. They have gained knowledge from there or created networks when they have been building their own startup. They have raised money, so they have kind of this knowledge in this field, or they might be some executives who have been working in some big companies as in some positions there, and kind of what is similar. They all invest money, but they can also bring a lot of other things as well. Then maybe you can see this. There's like 2 sides on the angel investing. Other side is that people are more active, so they can be, for example, these lead investors who join the company. They help the company to raise the funding. They are actively involved, maybe some even day-to-day operations. And then there's the other side, which is more passive, and that's kind of more that these people are joining only with the money, not so much in an active role with the company. So they can be kind of also told like followers. So there's the lead angel investors, and then there is those followers who kind of join the lead investor with the money. I will be talking more about lead investing later part of my presentation. Then angel investment is early stage investment. So they do the investment in so-called value of debt. So typically this is the part when the company is maybe not even creating revenue, but is kind of going through this value of debt when they're trying to get customers and they are breaking even. And so this is kind of the part when angel investors typically join, also when the so-called 3 Fs, friends, family, and fools, are investing. So this is the kind of really early stage funding, and after that comes the VC part. Then the startup phases when angel investors are joining. So there's usually the idea phase when people are coming with the idea. Then they're concepting, so coming up with different ways of finding the kind of taking the product further, and then committing their time for it, and deciding, okay, let's start to do this, and then they are validating and scaling, so finding the product market fit. So this validating and scaling part is when angels join, when typically you need funding to kind of get started really well. Then angel investing is a high risk investment. This is kind of how I think this is how it's usually seen. So that only 10% succeed well, 40% pay back, and 50% of all investments fail. That's not maybe not so dramatic in all situations. For example, how we have seen this is that from FIBAN data, more than 20% succeed better than succeeds quite well. So they bring 5x or more to the angel investors, and half of them pay back. So I don't know if it's about so-called Finnish sisu or what it is, but still I think this is kind of how it's seen in general view, but maybe angels are also investing in companies that are not so high risk as well. So probably that's how the data comes like this. But still, it's a really high risk investment. You're investing in companies who maybe don't have that much going on yet, and you're betting for the future that they will be successful. So it's highly risk investment, and that's also one reason why angels are investing in so-called syndicates to share the risk. So syndicate means a group where there is few angels joining forces to fund the company. Okay, then shortly about FIBAN. So FIBAN is a large angel network. We have over 650 members, and we've been established 10 years ago. It's a non-profit organization. One of the reasons why we are so big, one of the largest in the world, is basically that the way how FIBAN has been established. So in Finland, we are basically the only angel investor group that exists. So for example, if you compare to Stockholm, there is already many angel investor groups in the area of Stockholm, and they've been established quite long ago, and they are quite exclusive. So they only take few people into the group, and we are more inclusive organizations. And actually, we have in FIBAN, it's not only Finnish angel investors, but we have 20 nationalities represented in this 650 people. Then a little bit about the investment scene in Finland. You can see that it has increased dramatically. So it's been really good to be a startup in Finland. So here you can see all the investments made to startups in the past 10 years now, or 11. The blue part here is angel investments. So in 2019, angel investment increased 50% to 54 million, which was really nice, looked really nice. And then came Corona, so angel investors most likely focused their efforts to the company that they had in their portfolio and didn't do that much investments as we can see here, but roughly 50 to 50 million is how much FIBAN angels invest in a year. Then about the angel investor activity. So like I said, there is those who are more active, and then there's that part who are more passive after the investment. But this is how it's in average. So time used for due diligence is 37 hours, so less than 1 week is spent to go through the company and making the decision to invest and investing. After that, the angels, they use quite a lot of time still with the company, so a few days in a month. So some point when you are taking an angel investor, you kind of get this additional team member. So it's good to know, keep in mind that that happens, and it's good to use also, but it's good to know that there might be coming this activity towards your company. Then about the angel investment sizes, so how FIBAN investors invest. So approximately the median ticket per angel is 20,000 euros. It's been the same pretty much for past 4 years, and around the median size when they join around is around 200 or a little more. So that's the round size. The valuation of the company is roughly 1 million to 1.5 million. So that's the kind of the angel investment sweet spot. All right, then how to apply from FIBAN. So I actually mentioned a little bit. So when you're submitting a profile, the FIBAN, it goes visible to all our members. So I will be going through that application and then releasing, like open for all our investors. Then we have a screening. So we go through together with 6 to 8 angel investors, and I will be compiling a feedback to all the applications. So when you're applying, you always get feedback. So especially this screening part, I have been doing many times with Tomas, who is joining us today, and we'll be talking about what kind of things we kind of point out on these screenings. Then after the screening, the most promising startup companies at that point will be invited to pitch at FIBAN Pitch Finland event. Then we support all the companies who have been pitching to gather the syndicate. So I'll be doing my part after that, finding all the interested angel investors and connecting them together to support the investment to happen. Also, we have a lot of different types of investment templates to make the process smoother and easier for both sides. And it's good to know that all the services that FIBAN has are free for charge for founders. So FIBAN works through the membership fees that we have. And after you got an angel in FIBAN angel joined in your company as an investor, you are also liable for different types of perks that FIBAN Founders Club has to offer. So you can find those at fiban.org/founder. Okay, I'll go this part quite fast, but I think since the audience has, we have, for example, this Russian company. So I don't know if you're established your companies yet, but anyways, when we go, all the deal flow that we have, 66% go for the screening. There's a few reasons for that. I will be mentioning them soon. But from all the applications we have, 28% gets to pitch and 12% receive interest. So they go, the conversations go further after the pitching with the investors. But this is the kind of showstoppers. So first part, this valuation is too high. So we have, so basically the company, if it's already passed to the angel phase, then we are not inviting them even for screening. So all the applications that are more than 5 million in pre-money valuation, I automatically decline. Then this is important. So if there's no links to Finland, so you should always, if you're applying from somewhere else than New Nordic area, meaning Nordic or Baltics, you should mention what are your links to Finland to kind of proceed. So angel investors, there's this saying that typically they invest 20 minutes away from them, so or 20 kilometers, but it means that they're really kind of investing in the close area. So if they live in Helsinki, they invest in Helsinki, maybe Espoo, maybe Vantaa, but further than that, probably not. And then if the application is incomplete, that's a showstopper. So if there's, for example, pitch deck missing, then this is the point when I'm not going through that. Okay, I'll be skipping this one. When approaching the angel investor, it's good that the founders have already used their own network. So you have been looking for the first funding from your closed ones, so kind of the pre-seed round. So this is typically when you look for the funding from your friends and family and the third F, so the fools. But quite often you can go to your family and ask, hey, I need a few thousand euros to test my idea, or something like this. And that's kind of good to do first. Then when approaching the angel investors, it's good that you have already committed your own time and money in your company, and we can see that everybody who's joined this kind of events, they have already committed time and probably some money to test their idea. So that's a good indicator. You should be at the early stage and willing to give some ownership from your company. So it's good to know that when you're taking an angel investor, they are taking a part of your company as well. So it's good to know. And also, it's good to do some evaluation on who you want to be joining your company. So you should be seeking for advisors to help you grow your company faster and scale up. And I think it's also as important than the money, that you look for right type of people, not just the money. And angel investors, they are looking for exit at some point. So you should be kind of taking this into consideration, that when you're taking angel investors to join, they need to get their money some point back. So at least you should be willing that, or knowing this, that you are probably going to the path that you will be selling your company some point. Then about the lead investor. So lead investor is somebody who is leading the funding round, and typically in FIBAN, the lead investor is somebody who is one investor from the syndicate who is taking going through the process of due diligence and talking with the company, and takes care of all the terms and other documents to kind of make sure that the investment is done. And they are the ones who are communicating between the founder and then the other investors. It's good to know that there might be many investors who are willing to join with the money, but and if there's a good lead investor, they are willing to join that lead investor. And really quickly, here's a picture of, if you're not having a lead investor, you are this founder who is having many conversations with investors. You might get them to invest, but you still have to go through all the conversations. But if you get a lead, they will be helping you bringing the people in. So I think it's really important to have this in consideration when you're looking for the funding. So not that many people come up with themselves with the 200K investment, but typically they invest smaller tickets. Yeah, I think I have used pretty much my time, so I'm gonna be doing a lot of skipping now and going to the end. So final tip: start early, prepare your materials to be ready when you start raising funding, and start connecting with angel investors before you need any funding. So there's this saying that look for money and you get advice, and look for advice and you get money. So it's good to start the conversations early and get some feedback on what you're doing. Protect your IP, keep your books clean, and it's not a bad idea to start drafting a shareholder agreement or term sheets with your partners. And if you are willing to, or you want to apply from FIBAN, Here you can find fiba.org/submit, and you can start the process there. And here's my contact information if you want to be. That I start sharing, and if there is maybe one question, quick one, I can answer, or we can save them into the breakout rooms. I guess it's better that way. So if you have any questions, you can write them in chat, but we can also have the further conversations in the breakout rooms. So I will give the floor to Kasper. Go ahead.
And let's kick it off with the venture capital part of today's presentation. So my name is Kasper, and I'm an investment manager at Superhero Capital. And today I want to go through with you guys quickly kind of what VCs are in general, for example, compared to angel investors, and kind of open up a bit of the VC mentality in the presentation. And you could maybe a bit about Superhero Capital first. So we're an early stage VC based here in Helsinki, Finland. We invest in Finland and the Baltics mainly. And currently we have 29 portfolio companies across 2 funds. But how we view our role is that, in short, you could say that Superhero Capital is to founders, but Alfred is to Batman, the help from behind the scenes. And I think this is also kind of how the very knowledge intensive angel investors view their role as well. But enough about us, and let's go into 2 things today. So understanding the VC model, how it works, and what type of kind of funds are there and can there be. And then let's go into why is this important. So why is it important to understand the VC model from a founder's or an entrepreneur's perspective? And if we first look at understanding the VC model and a bit about kind of what separates VCs and angels, is that angels are typically investing their own capital. It's their own money, and VCs are investing mostly someone else's capital. So this creates a bit of a different dynamic since you can do whatever you want with your own capital. However, a lot of times VC funds are restricted when it comes to, say, profile or the fund size or the focus that the fund has. So that's kind of the biggest difference between the FIBA angels and the venture capital industry. Is angels are investing their own capital and VCs are someone else's. So how does maybe continuing about VCs, most VCs are generalists. I think that's important to understand that a lot of VCs know a bit about everything, but they're not super duper experts in certain areas. And this is also good to know when you're kind of explaining your business idea, because you as an entrepreneur are an expert in what you're doing, but you have to remember that most people are hearing your business idea for the first time. So you could say that most VCs, as I said, are generalists, and then most entrepreneurs are very spot on into either their industry, their market, or their technology, so to speak. And then, continuing on, this relates to that as well, especially if you're a deep tech company. You could say that VCs are the ones that are kind of in the lower part of this funnel, and the entrepreneurs or the scientists are kind of the specialists. So if we look at a VC fund, what does it consist of? Kind of what is a VC fund? What types of different funds are there? How do they differ? So funds differ in a variety of ways. The first one is an easy one, fund size. This one you might have noticed, or this is usually the first thing that separates funds. So for example, us at Superhero Capital, we have 2 funds. We have our first fund is a 20 million fund, and our second fund is a little over 30 million fund. Funds can go up to 100 million, a bit over 100 million here in Finland. And then if you look at the global funds, they're in the $500 million to a few billion in size. Then also one is the focus. So Antti's picture where you had the valley of death with the angels and the early stage VCs and the later stage VCs, this is what I mean by focus. So are you a VC investing right after the angel round, or are you a VC investing in Series A or Series B or Series C or D? So this has to do with kind of the initial ticket size that you have. Us at Superhero Capital, we're an early stage VC. So typically after, say, 100 or 200,000 angel round, when the startup is looking for a 300,000, 400, 500,000 investment, that's when we come in and typically jump on board. But then some other funds might have a minimum investment of 5 million, so they typically jump on board into later stage companies rather than right after the angel round fades. Then one thing that's important that people don't talk about too much is the lifespan of the fund. So typically when a VC fund is set up, the lifespan is 10 years. So in 10 years, you start the fund, and in 10 years, you're closing the fund and preferably exiting the portfolio companies. So it's important to understand where in the fund cycle or for a founder, it's important to understand where the fund is in regard to the cycle. Did they just start their 10-year tenure, or are they, say, 3 years in? So they're looking at exiting the fund in about 7 years. That's also important to understand. And then the profile. So there are quite a few different types of funds. You can have a fund that's investing in B2B software, in fintech, in say only medical technology. So how does that fund fit your profile? And especially early stage companies, this is a kind of a lot of, I noticed that a lot of time goes into just shooting cold emails to multiple funds and wishing that they'll, reply back. And it helps a lot in the conversion rates if you're actually targeting funds that invest in companies in your industry or in your area. And this whole thing, as mentioned, happens in a 10-year cycle, and kind of the rule of thumb split is that there's a 4-year investment period in the beginning and 6 years only meant for follow-on investments. So essentially, this means that all of the portfolio companies that the fund will have will be invested into in the first 4, maybe first 5 years. And then the latter part of the fund is only meant for follow-on investments. And typically about half of the investment capital is allocated to the first-time investments, and about half is allocated to follow-on investments. So why is this important? Why is it important to understand kind of the VC concept with fund size, lifespan, the focus, and how VC funds operate on the 10-year cycle? It's important to understand in order to know what motivates VCs. So what's the motivating factor? Of course, it's important to understand what are kind of the things that are at the back of the mind of the person you're talking to. And in this case, you're talking to a VC. So what's at the back of their mind, or our mind in a way? So let's take an example that a VC would raise a 50 million fund. He would have 50 million fund. So there's a group of people who go to what we call limited partners. They can be pension funds, private individuals, some angel investors with enough capital. They can be family offices, and in every single fund in Finland, for example, or I think in every single fund, might be 1 or 2 that aren't, but the government is an LP as well. So the capital comes from a variety of sources. And basically the pitch for VCs is that, hey, give us capital. We need 50 million. This is our strategy. This is our focus. This is our fund profile. We'll do these types of investments, and we'll give you a 3x return in 10 years. Sounds good? All right. And in 10 years, the goal is then to exit the fund and give the capital back to the LPs with a return on their investment. So you have a 50 million fund in 150 years. In 10 years, you need to give 150 million back. And this is the premise for a fund of this size. And 4-year investment period, 6 years follow on. So what's going at the back of the VC's head? How does this actually work? So let's say this is the pie chart of the 50 million fund. Typically 20% of the whole fund, 15 to 20% go into fees. So it's basically for managing the fund, buying tickets to all the events and conferences, paying a salary, handling the legal fees for setting up the fund in general, and all the associated costs. So there's 20% fees. That means that there's a total of 80% left for both the first-time investments and the follow-on investments. So this is a rough split of how a fund like this could go. So let's say you invest for the first-time investments into 20 companies. You do follow-on investments in only the best companies, and then there's the fees. So this is essentially going to be your portfolio. So let's say that from this 50 million fund, a VC invests 1 million into a company, and the company exits for 100 million. Wow, that's great. Typically, VCs own anywhere in between 10 to 15, 20, 25% of the company, depending on the stage. But especially early stage VCs typically take something at around 10, 15, 20%, depending on the stage. So you have 100 million exit, and on average, let's say the VC owns 10%. So that's 10 million. You went from a 1 million investment to a 10 million kind of return on that investment from the VC's perspective. So the party's on, right? It's a 10x investment. Come on, that's great. Then if you look at the overall fund and the target, that's only 6.7% of the target return. For an entrepreneur, that's 100 million exit. For a VC, that's not even 1/10 of their intended return. And there's 140 million left to return. So this is a bit of a challenge. And this is how kind of entrepreneurs typically perceive the returns, and this is how they actually go. So typically there's only one company where nearly all the returns come from. This is important to understand. So your 10x exit is in between the 2 and 3 on the x-axis. It's not enough to return the whole fund. So you're not returning a fund, you have 19 investments left, and this was a miss, this 10x investment. If you have a 1.5 billion exit, that will return the whole fund. Yay, this is great. This looks a lot better. However, especially in an early stage VC, you typically dilute with follow-on rounds. So in reality, you'll probably dilute to about 5%. So really, a 3 billion exit is needed. So if you raise 1 million from a 50 million fund, they're expecting a 3 billion exit. And this is important because the VC is going to ask themselves, is this team, this one team, regardless of the rest of the companies we're investing in, is this one team going to give me this? And from the entrepreneur side, before you're raising capital from a VC fund, I think it's really, really, really important to ask yourself and your team that can I or can we pull off a 3 billion exit? If the answer is I'm not sure, if it's anything else than hell yes, then think twice about what the goal is within the team and what is the actual thing that you are trying to achieve as a company. That, in short, is a quick overview of the VC industry, the landscape, and how the funds differ, as well as a little bit about the thought process that is at the back of the VC's minds. All right, and yes, as questions for later, so I think we can hop on with, can continue with Thomas's presentation.
All right, hello everyone. My name is Thomas, and I think what what I will talk about is about how to communicate to the investors and the basics, what to communicate. And then we can go to the details at the breakup rooms. So quickly about me, Thomas, I bootstrap a company to small exit. Then I came to study entrepreneurship at Aalto University, founded 720 Degrees, where we raised over 4 million in private and also public money. We had investors from Europe and the US, both angels and VCs. Now I'm enjoying time with my daughter. I'm helping founders through FIBAN and also at BioLabs, which is a UK VC, early stage VC, who were also investors in our company. And as Antti mentioned, we have been screening past 12, maybe more months together, probably hundreds of startups. I also went, for this purpose of this deck, I went through accelerator pitches. So I will be using examples from that. So first, exactly as Kasper said, and as Antti explained, you need to understand how investors, what do they need to see from you, what matters to them. And quite often we see there is a big difference between how founders feel about their company and what do they want to see, or what do they want to present, and how the investors what do they need to know to evaluate the startup. So you need to bridge the difference between how you perceive your company or how you want to present your company and to match their criteria. So in a way, everything is a matter of perspective, and your task is basically to bring the perspectives or as close as you can. As you can see here, both of the people are right. I think in the real setting between founders and VCs, both sides are wrong, but you need to be the least wrong you can manage. So you find some consensus. So you don't need to know the detailed criteria. Every VC fund focuses on different things or has different priorities, same with the angels. But you have to make sure that you target right investors, as it was mentioned, be it at your stage or be it in your industry, in your location, and so on, so that you have relevance to them. Know the checklist. So what is the bare minimum you have to deliver, and how to get a follow-up call. So usually you would send the deck, you get introduction, or you send it cold, you send the deck, and they have to see the basics to get the bigger picture, whether it can be a fit or not. And in a way, exactly, that they can answer to themselves, as Kasper mentioned, that does the company have a potential to provide these returns? And then they would schedule a follow-up call with you. Keep it simple. There is a tendency in Finland or generally in Europe, I think, to put a lot of fluff around. So use large fonts so you run out of space quickly. And I think, I don't remember what was the source, but there was typically under 50 words per slide is kind of recommended. Always be specific. I think be human, right? Be specific, be honest, be transparent as much as you can. Don't try to, it's a role play in a way, but don't try to play someone, because sooner or later it will come out, the truth will come out, and it's better when it comes early than after you sign the paperwork and then you have a bad surprise that actually doesn't do any good, because it's a long-term relationship, as Kasper mentioned, up to 10 years together, right? So, and remember, I think that we have seen it quite often. You remember that you as a founder, it's your task to help the investors to understand. And the task of the investors is to evaluate the potential and the risks related to that and make a allocation of resources, the finances. So it's your task. Same as if you are a manager or if you are a CEO, it's your task to make people understand and help them to understand, right? I like to think about it on kind of when you communicate, when you say anything on two axes. One is the believability. So what gives this information credibility to make it feel that it's true, and then progress or kind of data or information which is related to you. So we can look at that one example, a quick page. We have an incredible chatbot for marketplaces. Everyone just loves it. And now we are raising to scale big, right? You look at it like, okay, maybe, but actually you can rephrase it. Traditional customer support is labor intensive. We are helping thousands of marketplaces with no-code chatbots, now raising seed. So I think you can see that there is one layer or one level extra in specificity, and it's easier to understand what you are doing, how you are doing it, and what do you need to take it to the next step. If you look at the previous, it's not clear. What does it mean scale big? That can mean different things to different people. What is it phrasing, right? What is it chatbot? Why and how and so on? It creates confusion. So try to be more specific. Ideally, then later on incorporate as much as references and as much of data you can. So when I talk about, or when I mention believability, so what makes the information believable? So if you have external sources, if you talk about the target market, make sure that you quote according to Oxford University or wherever the source you got, and try to use as credible sources as you can find. If you just Google, there is a lot of stuff which might or might not be true, or the investors might not believe it. If you're using your example, quote how many, from what experience you know that something's true, right? From over 1,000 subscribers so far, 14% upgraded, 6% churned. So make it very, very specific. And now we can, from how, we can go to what you should be communicating. And I will be using the examples from the accelerator demo day. So you can see it's not ideal. It's ideal for the pitch. It's maybe you will need to add a little bit of information if it's a deck which you send to the investors. So problem and solution, product, traction, go to market, sales and marketing, market, the sizes of the market, and the team are the kind of, I would say, key things you need to communicate. And then you bake into it your business model or other details like KPIs and so on. So here we go. This is problem and solution. Emails are just a mess. It's confusing. I think it's quite clear from the slide. Doesn't need any explanations, doesn't need any sentences. Solution is, our solution is providing videos into the emails, and our target groups are sales outreach, customer success, user onboarding. Very easy in 2 slides to understand what the problem and the solution is, what they are pitching. It's hard to get subscribers, 3% paid subscribers, 80% churn rate. There is a reference is missing in my opinion, but otherwise clear. One-stop solution for enough subscriptions. And again, very little words. You can see that it's definitely less than 50 words, easy to understand. Product, here, no, not much of a text, nice. Integrates with existing platforms, and collects feedback under 2 minutes. Probably very easy to understand. Of course, then the investors would automatically, it raises questions, why it should exist, why is it so good, and so on. So then you build on it, but immediately you understand what you are looking at. Tabless browser for productivity. Doesn't say maybe much, nice screenshot. What you can do is if you have traction, you pair it with traction, 60,000 people using it to organize better, navigate faster, gives credibility to the product. Then you don't need to over-explain the product if you have traction. Let's go to the traction examples. Here is one nice one. 6 months from launch, over 2,000 users, average acquisition cost, revenue per user. Looks very good. No complicated explanations. Everybody can understand it and be like, okay, this makes sense. Here we go, growing strong, almost 50 customers, 500,000 in revenue, 15% month-on-month growth. Wonderful, easy to understand. This one is a little puzzling, but I think it's still good that they have existing revenue of 100K, but it also incorporates the projection where they want to be in basically within 2 quarters, which looks quite ambitious. And in some cases, depending what your product is, you can also use testimonials, what the people say. Then it depends how many users you have. If you have 2 users, then it's a little tricky. If you have 2,000 users and you have a couple of testimonials, why not? You can see here, nice growth chart as well, confirming that whatever they are doing is going strong. And in a way, what investors want to see, it's not that much about the product and the solution, there has to be fit, but much more how fast are you moving forward? So what's the pace of your progress, and what are the numbers which are going up? Go-to-market, sales and marketing, I think Antti can confirm that we see these slides quite often missing. So how are you planning to actually get from this 0 or 10K revenues to the next milestones? Here, nice example of sales funnel. Sometimes we see just print screen of CRM. That's quite nice as well. Who is in the pipeline? Who was converted? Ideally, you say also at what cost and what is the revenue per the acquired customers or lifetime value, depending how you look at it. This one, 750,000 shoppers, nice one. I think that people can have different opinions. I think it's better to turn the graph that it goes up and right. It kind of makes you stop, like why something's decreasing, then you realize it's customer acquisition cost, which is a good thing. Size of the market here, easy one. When you open, 5 billion will be lost to fraud, and then they are addressing the fraud. I think there is a reference is missing, ideally somewhere down. You would say what is the source where you got the 5 billion, so you make it believable. Here again, size of the market, so breaking it into what is the relevant size of the market, right? So quite often we see sustainability startups to say there will be several trillions coming into the sustainability, but that's not their market, right? You need to be very specific and bring it down to what sector and what kind of a niche your size is. This one is very simple, 37 million people, 1,500 spent per person, boom. Here is an example where you bake the business model. So freemium plus royalties makes the size of the market quite easy to understand as well. Again, sources are missing, which at least in my opinion, I think it should be there. And the team, which is for especially the angel investors, but I think that for the VCs, early stage VCs as well, the team is basically the most important thing they need to understand and they look at if you check all the other boxes. So here, very simple, built multiple banks in the past, quite nice logos, nothing to think about, interesting, relevant experience. Here, proven team, have done something interesting, have insights into what they are solving, nice. This one is of course ambitious, very few people on earth can say that, but just for the imagination how far it can be stretched, the team slides, right? Not even our first unicorn. So that's quite interesting. I also like here that they edit how many full-time and how many part-time people they have. So it's not just a team of 2. Yeah, so that would be the basic ones. And then you incorporate or you build in the business model where it fits, fundraising ask. So how much are you raising for what milestones? Eventually financial projections, and you can also add other things which play to your strengths. Also, the order is not necessary to go in this sequence. Some people open with the market, then they go to problem solution, then the product. Some start with the team, for example, if the team is the main strength. So play to your strengths, because the biggest strengths you should present them at the beginning, so you create kind of a hook that the investor is motivated to flip through the rest of the deck. And I think Kasper can then explain how much time typical VC analyst spends on screening the deck, because it's going to be very, very, hopefully in minutes, but very, very few. What else can you do? So the screenshots were from 500 startups demo day. You can find it online. There are many other ones. I think it's good when you are creating your deck to watch a few, get ideas, improve the deck, watch a few, improve the deck. There is a very nice and funny Y Combinator seed deck. Takes a few seconds to flip through just to understand how to communicate. There is a SaaS funding napkin, which is quite popular depending what you do, but if you are B2B SaaS, that's a nice example. I think that they have similar for marketplaces and a few other things as well. So you see what are the milestones and what you can expect in terms of fundraising and how what you need to have accomplished per every funding round. Sure, ask Google, but watch out look for credible sources. I usually recommend people to stay away from these INC, Forbes, and other magazines, and rather get your information from accelerators like YC 500 Startups or investors who publish a lot. And then make sure that you ask for feedback and you talk to the investors. As Antti mentioned, talk to them early enough. Ask for feedback. Many people are happy to help because they have been in the same shoes as you are now. So they are happy to help. Build it so that once you are pitching or once you are bringing it to someone, you have the confidence and the validation that what you are trying to convey, the message, that it hits the right spots. All right, well, questions. I thought we were going to have a chat, but maybe in the breakup room. So I will leave it here. You can find me, of course, on LinkedIn, Tomas Novotny, or you can ping me an email anytime. Thank you.
Well, my name is Maxim Rabshinsky, and I want to present a project, Graph Sensors. So our project is concerned on the developing of graphene-based multisensory chips to diagnose Atmos number of aromas and odors by a single chip, unlike common solutions which are based on gas area sensors. Along with this key advantage, we also our solution also provides 10 times lower power consumption to 3 less cost compared to traditional MOS sensors, and also around 30% higher durability. So our product will be multi-sensory chips based on the patent technology using graphenes, and also software package for the application, and of course turnkey development for the needs of our customers. Concerning our customers, currently we have one customer already, with which we are performing tests of our multisensory chips in, which one is ready to purchase around hundreds of chips in a month. And we're also looking forward to negotiate with some potential customers from Europe, such as RoboScientific, Janos company, and Odotech company, which develops gas analyzers. We suppose that this solution is quite commercially interesting because gas sensor market now is currently growing actively due to several limitations regarding government initiatives and regulations concerned on environment analysis, environment safety, and so on. So we have a team of 4 key members, which are presented in this slide. Me as a CEO and co-founder, and also some technical and commercial crew. Also have we have a partnership with several companies, which provides us some materials, and also which we outsource some our operations needed for the production of the developed chips. Currently, we are on the stage of launching a production line and starting the production of multi-sensor gas chips of about 200-300 chips a month. And to complete the stage, we need around $400,000 within the next 2 years. And that's all. I was short and trying to be short in 3 minutes.
Great. Hey, thanks, Maxim. Thanks for the presentation. All right, I can start, and then Kasper and Tomas, you can jump in and give your feedback. I will give more as a general feedback probably first. So I think typically when you explain, it's good if you start with defining the problem. You mentioned that on the market slide. So maybe just to clarify, now you go into the tech immediately, and I didn't know why the tech is important. I can understand the points, what you say, that it's the solution is 10 times lower power and so on. So there's benefits, but who benefits from these benefits? Okay, so it's good kind of you have this solution. So why kind of if you first define the problem and then kind of answer for the problem with your solution. So that would make it easier to understand. Nice that you have customers, so that's good. So you have some traction, that's a good thing. And then you mentioned some funding needs. That also gives a good credibility on your stage. That's my general. So Kasper and Thomas, you can give some points.
Yeah, I think about the funding needs. Now you have 362 to 367,000. That's 12 numbers. You could put 400K, which is 3 numbers. You have less text on the slides, easier to understand. And when you're raising this amount of money, 5,000 doesn't it doesn't matter. And then you said 400K. So I'm getting 3 numbers at once. So it's just, I think I shouldn't say this out loud, but it's always, it helps to think that the audience or the VCs are generally dumb. Like I tend to say this to entrepreneurs that keep it simple and just say one figure and kind of, coming back to what Antti as well said, that the first question that I had was that, why is this important? Could you say in 15 seconds, why is this important? Because I'm still not entirely sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, nowadays, gas analyzers are trying to sense orders because it's needed for health insurance, for some to solve some environmental problems, and for this purpose, we need to develop new gas analytical chips, gas sensors or gas analytical chips, and then our solution goes. So, that's the point. I think.
Okay. Yeah. So starting off with, there are kind of 2 industries that really need gas analysis. It's healthcare and the environmental.
Yeah, I see industry. Now. Unfortunately, I decided to miss this slide. It was, but concerning that there will be only 3 minutes, I pulled it off, and that was a mistake.
No, but I mean, I wouldn't say a mistake. It's just a learning experience overall. And I think you did have a bit more time than you still had some time left. So
maybe,
so maybe 1 or 2 sentences on I would have wanted to know competition. Like, is there anyone else doing a multisensory graphene-based chip, or is this something that's very unique, deep tech? Those are a few comments.
To our knowledge, there are only several companies, several firms that are developing such a solution because it's more complicated at the first step if you use multi-oxide sensors. So concerning that we use new material, graphene, it allows to solve this problem, and that's why we can make multi-sensory chips, whereas others don't want to do this. They want to use common technology, which is based on arrays of several typical and simple chips, simple gas sensors.
Okay. Yeah.
I will be quick, but this is perfect for me because our company was indoor air quality analytics. So for me, it was like nodding, but absolutely for generalists. And we struggled with it as well as an air quality company to explain why it matters and how it matters and how we do this. So let's have a chat. Let's have a chat some other time. But you need to you need to simplify the deck. It's very full of fluff and information. It's very difficult to kind of grasp the information. But yeah, I'm happy to share what was our experience and all the pains we went through with air quality. So.
Nice. That will be perfect.
Yeah. So yeah, looking good, Max. Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the next one. Who's next?
Hello everyone, good afternoon. My name is Anna Zaitseva. I work at the Institute for Analytical Instrumentation, Russian Academy of Sciences. I have the PhD in physics with specialization on lasers and semiconductors. Today, I'm going to present the project that my team and I have been working on for the past 3 years. So I would like to talk about development of machine learning diagnostic system for meat production. So if you have meat or sausage factory and you want to know stability of raw meat preparations from different suppliers, you're probably going to need a simple, digital, reliable, and possible method. Usually human tasters determine the taste of ingredients, but not in the case of raw meat. Now the factory learns about the taste of sausage only after it has made a whole batch. Our system allows us to identify deviation in the taste of the sausage at the stage before production. It's like an electric tongue. System is trainable for understanding deviation from the reference. How we do it? System is based on two main things. There are sensors and mathematical model. Our model is a good example of artificial intelligence. External cost per unit is less than 400 euros. It's without cost of development and allocated costs. If you look to the timeline, at first stage we developed sensors and mathematical model. Now we have prototype of the system. We are seeking investment of 200,000 euros for next stage. It is going to be further system training and modern for commercial use. Let me walk through some advantages our system has. It's cost-effective and portable. Also, we can make customer-specific model and application. Our primary market is food tech market. It is valued now more than $220 billion and expected to grow, of course. This is my team. And our passion is digital transformation and machine learning based approach. So thank you. Any questions?
Okay, thanks, Anna. Does somebody else want to go first, or do I do some? I guess you guys can go first.
Go for it, Antti, go.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay, I start. So I kind of look this in general. So I guess like you should definitely put this in a presentation mode, because now it's for me hard to focus what you are talking about. So I don't really I don't know what to look at here. So it's just a lot of information. So that in general. Then I think you should go into the point quite fast. I like the way how you say that you have the electric tongue who kind of tasting. So that's kind of nice. And you can kind of capture the audience, like, what is this about? But then again here, the problem, I don't know if you mentioned it, but to me, at least when I was trying to listen and read, I didn't get it. So I don't know what is the problem. So how much money or meat is lost and what you can save here. So you should have this in numbers. So kind of what's the benefit for the companies to have this kind of thing. I think that's quite in general on my side.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Antti.
Thomas, you want to go?
Sure. Okay. No, I think that this was a little easier because it's probably easier to imagine than the previous presentation. Exactly as Antti said, make it into a deck step by step, right? Like people will be wondering with their eyes what's going on. Also, I think this goes for this and the previous ones. If you guys are not designers, don't try to do design or anything. Don't use any colors. Just use a ready-made template, which is in PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever that is. It's better than trying to put it together. And yeah, I don't know what else to add. Like as Antti said, how much money is lost? So is it worth solving this problem? How big it can be? And I think that about the technology, it would be also interesting to know how difficult it is to implement, use, and so on. How quickly you can put it into deploy it at the customers.
Yeah, I had very similar thoughts in the sense what Thomas said in his presentation, that be detailed, be a bit more detailed. And here, when it says high tech, how do you know it's high tech? Yeah, about the competitors. Now I know two names of the competitors, but I don't know any differences, how you're actually different. And I think the detail is key in kind of giving me the ability to talk about this later to someone else, which is one really crucial thing in pitching as well. Being able to explain it in a way that I can talk about this, I can talk about Meat Taster without you being here. Because because I mean, if that gives you virality, or that gives you, you know, essentially when you're pitching, you're not only pitching to the people who are listening, but to their network as well. So you're not only pitching to kind of one person, you're pitching to 101. So them plus the 100 people that they know. So that's why having it in a slide format gives it a more easier way of kind of remembering it, because people can do two things. I mean, one thing at a time, either look at your slides or listen to you. So overall, I think I would have preferred to listen to this pitch, to be completely honest, with my eyes closed.
Okay.
I think what you said was a lot better than what we thought.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kasper.
Yep. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Anna.
And big ups to the two who pitched, because if there's one thing that startups should do, is that every time when there's a chance to pitch, you should go and pitch. And if you can't make it, you should put someone else there to pitch, because every single time, even if you can't pitch as a CEO, your CTO can pitch, or someone they learn on how to tell it forward. So big ups to the two teams that showed up and pitched when they had a chance.
Maybe on top of that, just guys, I think even as a founder, I didn't realize is that you are not just competing with your competitors who are in the market already, but you are competing in relative terms with other startups who are pitching to the investors, right? So if you can get ahead in front of everyone here, jump the queue, right? If you can make anywhere a step which puts you at a better light than any other startup. So in a way, even though you are doing air quality or meat analysis, you are competing for the attention with SaaS products or apps. And yeah, it's brutal actually at the early stage. Right, Kasper?
Yep. All right, what's next on the agenda?
Yeah, Mikko, are we ready to go for the breakout rooms?
Yeah, I think we are. I've divided them into education and food and then sensors. So those kind of industries.
Okay. So I guess we can have in general conversations, you can ask your questions now at that point. So if you have anything for there, and then of course we can see where the conversations go from there.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, great, guys. Thanks for the session today. I made a short survey that is sent to you guys on the chat, so please go and fill it up so we get some feedback from today, and we can better ourselves. So anonymously, you can answer whatever you want there. So, but thanks a lot for the day. We are wrapping up. So I don't know, Mikko, do you want to say some final words?
Well, not necessarily. Not necessarily. If you coaches have something, but on my behalf, it was an honor having you here. Great presentations, and I hope the teams got really useful information out of them.
Thanks, Mikko, for inviting us.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you for having us. If you guys are answering the survey, please be specific in your decks, so that we have takeaways as well to learn.
Thanks for today. That was pretty useful. Thanks a lot.
Yep. Thank you. Kiitos. Spasiba.
All right. I think that's it.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thank you.